Now I request Dr. Vidya Iraudika Ma'am, Pro-Chancellor of Symbiosis International University, to deliver the welcome remarks.
A very good morning to all the delegates who have gathered here. The chief guest for the inaugural ceremony, Shri Chandrakant Dada Patil, the Minister for Technical and Higher Education, Government of Maharashtra. Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, the Chancellor of this university and the founder of Symbiosis. Katrina Jackson, the Chief Executive Officer of Universities Australia. Dr. Pankaj Mittal, the Secretary General of Association of Indian Universities. Our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Rajni Gupte. Mrs. Muzumdar, very august members who are sitting here. I think if I have to take names of each and every person, it will take a long time. But nevertheless, let me express my gratitude and happiness for all of you to be here attending the Uni20 conference. We all were very excited when India got the presidency of G20. Honestly, we were excited because it just felt that our Prime Minister has really got the presidency of G20 to India, which means we are there on the global map of the G20 countries. When we actually pondered what it really means to each one of us, and that's when we decided that as a university, we need to hold various events on our campuses, not just this one, but even others, to sensitize our faculty, as well as our young students who are studying in Symbiosis, and many other students who would attend the various G20 events that we have hosted, so that they feel equally proud. G20 doesn't really mean closed-door discussions of trade and business and higher education, but I think G20 means that it's not just discussions that are effective, but the implementation and the execution, which is going to be done by university leaders sitting here in the audience, is going to be more effective. Over the last 1 year, we carried out several events. It started off with, in January, when we started off with the Festival of Thinkers, where the inaugural event of the G20 was hosted by Symbiosis, and none other than the External Affairs Minister, Mr. Jaishankar, was here. And you can imagine the electrifying speech that he gave to the young students. He was like a rock star, and he is one. And then, of course, we had Mr. Narayan Murthy, because we purposely got someone from the industry to get a perspective of what G20 means to the Indian industry. And that's when Mr. Narayan Murthy, the founder of Infosys, one of the largest IT services establishment or corporate, that for our foreign delegates, I just need to tell you that it's one of the largest in the world. And Mr. Narayan Murthy is the founder, other than being the father-in-law of the British Prime Minister. And then several other events, but one of the most remarkable events was the Y20, which was the Youth 20, that we hosted on this very campus, when students from all across India and different parts of the world, from almost all G20 countries, were here. And this was supported by the Ministry of Youth Affairs, and Mr. Anurag Thakur, the minister, was here himself. But other than him, several speakers. And I think what we did was we gave a voice to this young population of students on this very stage. And as some of you attended yesterday's session, in the morning we had the students speak about what kind of universities they desire. You can imagine the whole Y20 conference was all of us sitting in the audience, and the young people, the students, the youth of this country and other G20 countries actually talking on this podium with great confidence, what it meant to them, and what do they want their countries to be, and what would they take from these kind of G20 initiatives. And here we are, almost like a culmination of all the several events that we hosted with the Uni20, which is the University Leaders or Vice Chancellors Conference. And I'm very thankful to Association of Indian Universities. They always have been our partners all through our journey. And now, because of them, we have several Indian Vice Chancellors who are here. And of course, through the various networks that I'm personally associated with and Symbiosis is associated with, through Obrial Global, Maratha Chamber for Commerce, FICCI, and several others, that we have had such an excellent participation. For the Honorable Minister, sir, we have delegates from 46 different countries, and they are in leadership positions, which means whatever they learn here over the next 3 days, or whatever they listen to, they are certainly going to implement in their countries. What we also consciously decided to do is not limit this to only G20 countries, because I, for one, believe that the discussions between G20 countries impacts the rest of the world. And here we have the rest of the world being represented right across from Argentina, Brazil, to South Africa, to various countries from East and West Africa, to the furthest, Australia, Switzerland on this side, and then Australia and New Zealand, and of course, India. Another thing that we emphasize in this very conference is the dominance of the global south. And I again believe that while till date, we used to have conferences dominated by academicians and people from the north, or from the developed countries. It could be US, obviously Europe, UK. Now you see a representation of the global south. And I would include Australia not as a member of the global south, but being in the southern region, again, partnering with us from the global south. Because the highest population is in the global south, and I'm sure I don't need to emphasize the importance. But I can only say that Symbiosis International University, which was established by Dr. Muzumdar for international students, has come a long way to being one of the most dominant universities in India when it comes to internationalization of higher education. And it is our endeavor through our various partners all across the globe, and more specifically partners from the global south, that we want Symbiosis to be one of the voices or the dominant voices of the global south to discuss and deliberate various issues on higher education that affect us, that impact us, and of course be in coordination and also have a symbiotic relationship with those in the north as well. But let it be a more symbiotic relationship between the global south and the north, and not be like a donor and recipient relationship that we always had. So with these few words, I thank you once again for being here, and I'm sure these 2 days are going to be most memorable days of your life on this lovely campus, where some of you may come across peacocks, as I said earlier, or maybe an odd snake, or maybe some other animals. I once spotted a porcupine, and there was also once a leopard on this campus who came to drink water, because we've created a beautiful water reservoir here. That was, I don't know, it was a story, but Dr. Muzumdar saw it somewhere. So we're happy that we are actually a biodiversity university which promotes biodiversity, a beautiful butterfly park that my mother has created here. 2 butterfly parks, in fact. So I hope you enjoy this beautiful biodiversity, because we believe in this slogan, or the Indian philosophy of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, believing that the world is one family, which just doesn't include human beings from different parts of the world, but it does also include plants, animals, and other living beings. Thank you very much, and God bless.
Thank you, ma'am, for the core informative remarks.
May I now request Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General of Association of Indian Universities, to deliver the welcome address.
Shri Chandrakant Dada Patil, Honorable Minister for Higher Education and Technical Education, Government of Maharashtra. Shri Harshvardhan Shringla, who is not here right now, but he'll be joining very shortly. He is the Chief Coordinator for India in G20 Presidency. Professor S.P. Majumdar, Founder and President of Symbiosis and Chancellor of Symbiosis International University. Ms. Catriona Jackson, who is my counterpart in Australia, CEO of Universities Australia. Dr. Vidya Yeravedkar, Pro-Chancellor, Symbiosis International University. Dr. Rajni Gupte, Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis International University. Mrs. Majumdar, who is here. Nina Arnhold from World Bank, who is here. Many Vice Chancellors, so many familiar faces are here from India and abroad, especially from the G20 nations. International dignitaries, academic leaders, representatives of various government bodies, embassies, and High Commission, faculty, students, ladies, and gentlemen. A very good morning to all of you, and a very warm welcome on behalf of AIU and SIU to the AIU SIU Uni20 conference for university leaders of G20 nations on the theme, The Future of Universities, Making the World a Better Place to Live in, and the transformative role of universities in that process. Also, welcome to the beautiful and serene campus of Symbiosis International University, handcrafted by Professor Majumdar. Welcome to Pune, the city beautiful. For the Indian delegates, welcome to India, especially in the G20 presidency year of India, and also welcome to the new national education policy of India, which is transforming higher education and school education too. You all know that India is hosting the presidency of G20 nations this year. You also know that G20 nations not only host the maximum number of universities, but also the most prestigious universities of the world. Actually, if you go by, say, world rankings, whether it is Times or QS, the most of the top ranking universities are located in G20 nations. It is therefore important that universities in G20 nations come together. They sit together, they deliberate together on issues of common interest to create new knowledge, to innovate, to develop new skills, and shape a new paradigm of human-centric globalization. This conference, therefore, will add a new meaning to India's G20 presidency and make it a presidency of healing, a presidency of harmony, a presidency of hope, and the presidency that will promote a sense of oneness, one earth, one family, one universe, one future. You know that India is the largest country in the world in terms of population. It is the second largest higher education system in the world with about 1,100 universities, 45,000 colleges, 40 million students. And we also have a new national education policy which promotes globalization and internationalization in a big way. India is now welcoming the campuses of foreign universities on its soil. In fact, 2 universities, I saw the Deccan representatives yesterday. In fact, the 2 universities, Deccan and Wollongong University from Australia, they have already decided to set up campuses in Gift City, and many are in the pipeline. We are waiting for the UGC regulations for establishment of campuses on Indian soil. India is now promoting joint degrees, dual degrees. India is promoting transfer of credits from foreign universities and Indian universities. India is also promoting the establishment of international students' offices on the campuses. That means that we are all prepared to welcome the foreign universities to India, not only for establishing campuses, but for holding partnerships in many, many ways. But the quality partnerships, that is why we have laid down the rules that from Indian side, only the universities which follow the 300 and 1,000 rule means the ones who are in NAC, who have a NAC 3 grade or are in 100 in the Indian institutional ranking or are in 1,000 in the world ranking, they will be eligible. And from the foreign side, only the ones who are in 1,000 world ranking will be eligible. So we are promoting quality partnerships and collaborations. Therefore, AIU and SIU, we both felt that in addition to the bureaucrats and the education ministers who would be coming from G20 nations to the country, to India, for discussing various aspects of education, we should hold a conference of vice chancellors of G20 nations, because that is where the actual implementation happens. So that is why we started this concept of Uni20, where the universities of G20 nations will be coming together, talking to each other, deliberating, discussing the issues and concerns which are of common nature or even of specific nature, to come out to come out with a action plan which can help the nation as a whole. So, and you also know that under the dynamic leadership of our Prime Minister, Shri Narendra Modi ji, India has the opportunity to lead and guide the destiny of many nations in the world. A grouping of G20 universities can go a long way in achieving the common goal of human-centric globalization. We at AIU are also promoting internationalization in a big way. We have established a network called Indian Network of International Higher Education. I suppose many universities are the members of that. That is done with the purpose, and again, Symbiosis were a critical partner in that particular network, That is done with the purpose that India is a vast country, a diverse country. We have very good universities who are good in internationalization, like Symbiosis. But at the same time, because it is large, we have many universities who have intent to do internationalization, but they don't know how to do it, whom to talk to, whom to collaborate with, how to get started with it. Therefore, we have established Indian Network of International Higher Education, which will help the universities to promote internationalization. We have also set up an AIU collaboration portal to help the national as well as international universities to know with which university to partner with in a specific area. For example, if you want to partner in, say, quantum physics, so if you write on AIU collaboration quantum physics, you will get a list of universities in India who are good in quantum physics with whom you can collaborate. So such type of efforts are being made by not only the government, the regulatory authorities like UGC and AIC, by AIU and many, many universities. And this conference, which we are holding today, since yesterday we are holding, yesterday, today, and tomorrow, is yet another action plan. I mean, that is a part of the action plan to promote India as a global destination for affordable quality education. We are seeing the themes of the conference, which are written here. So they are very, very well deliberated themes. And I'm very sure the deliberations will lead to a new world order through higher education institutions and make the world a better place to live in. The knowledge diplomacy, or the soft power, will certainly strengthen the relations between the G20 nations and help all of us in innovation, research, learning, and making a more humanized world. Let us hope for the best. Thank you. Jai Hind. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
I request Dr. S.B. Mujumdar sir to felicitate Shri Chandrakant Dada Patel, Honorable Minister for Higher and Technical Education, Government of Maharashtra.
I request Dr. Vidya Yeravdika to felicitate Ms. Catriona Jackson, Chief Executive Officer of Universities Australia. Thank you, ma'am.
It is a Symbiosis tradition to welcome dignitaries to campus by international students, offering the flags of their respective countries as a symbol of international brotherhood. I'll call upon the participants and flag presentators, Afghanistan. Angola. Bangladesh. Bhutan. Botswana. Burundi. Burundi. Cambodia. Cambodia. Chad. Djibouti. Ethiopia. The Gambia. Ethiopia. The Gambia. India. Indonesia. Kenya. Lesotho. Madagascar. Madagascar. Malawi. Nepal. Nigeria. Somalia. South Africa. South Sudan. Sri Lanka. Sudan. Tanzania. Thailand. Uganda. Yemen. May I now request Dr. Rajni Gupte, Madam, to present the flag of Symbiosis International University. I now request Dr. S.B. Mujumdar, sir, to present the flag of the United Nations to our Honorable Chief Guest.
Thank you, students, for that beautiful presentation. This unity shows precisely what we at Symbiosis stand for. The world is one family.
A huge round of applause for all the flag presenters. Dr. S.B. Mujumdar was a professor of botany in Ferguson College, deeply touched by the hardships suffered by foreign students studying in India. He established Symbiosis in 1971 with a view to providing them with a home away from home. In recognition of his unique contribution to education and global citizenship, the Government of India conferred on him the Padma Shri in 2005 and Padma Bhushan in 2012. I now invite Professor Dr. S.B. Mujumdar sir, founder and president of Symbiosis and Chancellor of Symbiosis International University, to address the awaiting gathering.
Chief guest, Chandrakant Dada Patil, Minister for Higher Education, Catriona Jackson, Mrs. Pankaj Mitchell, Dr. Vidya, Dr. Gupte, students, dignitaries and invitees. Congratulations for making this conference a success. In fact, this conference, the word conference is not good. It is really a festival of Uni20. Because I have seen for the last 2 days the enthusiasm and the energy amongst all of you, and therefore I would like to call it a festival of higher education. We are very fortunate to have Mr. Chandrakant Dada Patil as chief guest. And let me tell you one secret. He and I were born in Kolhapur. We were educated in Kolhapur, but then our roads diverged. He became minister, I became a teacher. But yet, the bonds are there. And thank you so much, Dada, for coming over here and gracing the occasion. It was Swami Vivekananda who in 1897 made two very, very important predictions. He was in America. His first prediction in America was, India will achieve independence exactly in 50 years. And his prediction came true. On 15th August 1947, India became free. But for this conference, his second prediction is very important. And his second prediction was, the 20th century belonged to West, but 21st century will belong to India. I happened to read a book by two New York journalists, and the title of the book was Thunder from the East. Thunder from the East. And the author says that the center of power will shift from west to east, and it will perhaps settle in India. Now, if Swami Vivekananda's dream is to come true, and it will come true, that is, if 21st century is to belong to India, in what way it will belong to India? For the last 2 days I have been hearing science, technology, university, industry engagement, collaborations of Indian and foreign universities, skill education. All these are very relevant and they must happen, they are happening. But will these things make India a powerful country, a strong country, a country predicted by Swami Vivekananda? Personally, I feel we will produce good doctors, good engineers, good technologists, good advocates, good managers, good professors. But that is not enough. Having spent decades and decades in higher education, I am of the opinion that education without morals will produce only educated monsters. Monsters like Hitler, monsters like Stalin, monsters like Putin, monsters like Osama bin Laden. They were all educated, but they were monsters. And I am really afraid that whereas we may produce good technologies, if morality, moral education, values, honesty, integrity, इंसानियत जो बोलते हैं, इंसानियत, if that is absent from higher education, of what use? Of what use is our higher education? And therefore all of us must ponder over this. How to incorporate values, how to incorporate Indian knowledge system, how to incorporate deep-rooted Indian cultural values as embedded in Upanishads, Ramayana, Mahabharata. In other words, how to embed, how to immerse moral education in our system, moral education in modern education. And therefore, whereas it is necessary to give quality education, whereas it is necessary to give excellent infrastructure, equipment, manpower, it is also necessary to give quality moral education. And therefore, way back in 1971 when we started Symbiosis, we put a slogan, we put a motto of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. But if you read that motto of Symbiosis, there is one beautiful word before Vasudhaiva. And that word is Udara Charitanam. Udara Charitanam Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. A person who has broad mind, a person who has noble mind, a person who has a generous mind, person who has mind of empathy, mind full of sympathy, can only consider Udara Charitanam tu Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, can only consider world as one family. And to me the most important point is, If you want to add morals to education, you have to broaden the minds of our students. And just as the parachute functions better when it is open, the mind also functions better when it is open. And therefore, it is quite important that we must produce good engineers, but we also must produce engineers with empathy, sympathy, and integrity, and most importantly, engineers with character, doctors with character, professors with character. But unfortunately, this is not happening today. In our syllabi of any university in the world, there is no conscious effort to add insaniyat to our higher education. And so, this university has decided to start a small course in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. And I am happy that this course has received a great response. And if, as a chancellor, if I am given freedom, and I have that freedom, I have that power, no graduate will receive the degree certificate unless he completes the course in Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Do you know that Hitler has a Nazi camp? And the trains which were built there as gas chambers were constructed by best of engineers. The children who were given poisons were best pediatricians. And therefore, if you want to avoid to produce educated monsters, educated murderers, educated thieves, thugs, the present education system is not adequate. And therefore, my submission to all of you is, whereas by all means have collaborations, by all means have science, technology, research, all these are very, very relevant. But then there should be higher education, degree plus, and that plus should be insaniyat. That plus should be moral values. And this is precisely mentioned in National Education Policy 20. They have recommended the inclusion of Indian knowledge system in the curricula of various university courses. And so, let us now ponder over this. I will appeal to all Vice Chancellors assembled here. I will request Pankaj Mittal of AIU to issue circular to all Vice Chancellors. And what is that circular? From 2024, moral education must be made compulsory. And without that, no student should get certificate. Either medical, engineer, computer, whatever it is. And if this happens, the prediction of Swami Vivekananda that 21st century will be India's century. You see, it is after all education and universities and colleges and schools which will make Swami Vivekananda dreamed true. Banks, cooperative societies, dairies, or corporate world, they cannot make it. The fate of a country is shaped in the classroom of a school. And therefore schools should also be involved in the whole process. And therefore, Chandrakant Dada from Vidya has now decided that we should have NEP model school on the university campus. Please ponder over this. We have unnecessarily created walls of knowledge. School education, higher secondary education, primary education, then college education, university education. What is this? Knowledge is knowledge, no? Why should there be compartments? Why should there be walls? And then we have also decided that teachers and students, and especially students of final year engineering, final year students should go to school and teach. Professors should go to schools to teach. And the schools should be on the university campus. This is another wonderful innovation we are thinking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I do not want to take much of your time. You are eager to listen to the minister. And since he is from Kolhapur, and believe me, those who come from Kolhapur, they can do anything. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you for your words of wisdom, sir. It is always an honor to hear your thoughts. May I request Professor Dr. S.B. Mujumdar, sir, to felicitate Shri Harsh Vardhan Shringla, Chief Coordinator for India's G20 presidency.
Sri Chandrakant Patil is an Indian politician and the Higher and Technical Education Minister of Maharashtra State. He was the Maharashtra State President of Bharatiya Janata Party from 2019 to 2022. He is a member of the Legislative Assembly of Maharashtra. I invite Sri Chandrakant Dada Patil, sir, to address the gathering.
For this great and memorable event in the inaugural function, Professor Dr. S.B. Mujumdar, founder and president Symbiosis and chancellor of this university, Shri Harshvardhan Shringla, chief coordinator for India's G20 presidency, Mrs. Katrina Jackson, Chief Executive Officer, University of Australia, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General AIU, Dr. Vidya Ayurvedekar, Pro Chancellor, Dr. Rajani Gupte, Vice Chancellor, and delegates comprising of chancellors, vice chancellors, presidents, senior leaders of Indian universities and from G20 countries. Simultaneously, G20 education brainstorming education exercise is also going on in Pune from today. It will for 4 days. For last day on 22nd, all G20 countries education ministers are coming here. For that, our Center Minister Dharmendra Ji Pradhan also is coming today evening. I am trying, he will also visit here. But our state ex-CM and now Deputy CM, Devendra Ji Fadnavis, definitely coming tomorrow afternoon 3:30 to 4:30. First of all, I congratulate Symbiosis International University and AIU for hosting this prestigious Uni20 conference under India's G20 presidency. I am happy to know that we have delegates from 47 countries. I think it is increasing, but still now it is 47 countries attending this conference. This University's Uni20 International Conference promises to bring important stakeholders in higher education together to discuss critical issues which impact the global and national higher education landscape, as well as the local realities faced by individual colleges and universities across the globe. From last 1 year, we are also doing very huge discussions on this NEP 20, and now from this year we are going to start. This 2023 Uni20 conference is an opportunity to reimagine what the future of higher education can be and what the future of university should be. Lockdowns, pandemics, economic and geopolitical disruptions, growing demand for access and equity, urgent need to incorporate online virtual technologies into course delivery, climate change and other social and technological disruptions, and much more are now a part of our reality. To the sessions at Uni20, experts and stakeholders will discuss and deliberate over practical and viable solutions to this changing learning ecosystem. The whole scenario changed after pandemic and receive inputs and insights that will support the planning for the coming years, not only for this country, for whole world. I am aware that the Honorable Prime Minister of India, Shri Narendra Modi ji, graced the occasion of commemoration of Symbiosis Golden Jubilee last year. He also inaugurated the Symbiosis Arogya Dham, a comprehensive holistic healthcare campus with facilities and research centers for medical and allied health, specifically for women students. This is a story of a swan seed of compassion sown by a college professor, Professor Dr. Muzumdar in 1971, to promote international understanding through quality education, inspired by the Vedic philosophy Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. Professor Muzumdar established Symbiosis and created an ecosystem where international students and Indian students would study, live and play together and forge bonds of lifelong friendship. This small seed has since grown into a large banyan, and how? By following the path, right sonis, ethical and transparent governance. Pune is known as Oxford of the East. Pune has the largest number of universities than any city in India. Pune has 15 universities. In whole Maharashtra, there are 42 universities, but in Pune, there are 15 universities and over 450 higher education. Pune also houses prominent research institutes like National Chemical Laboratory, NCL, National Institute of Virology, NIV, National Center for Cell Science, Indian Institute of Science Education and Research DC. Pune has the largest number of students, over of 6 lakh students. Total population is near about 60 lakhs, but student population is 6 lakhs. Come from all states of India and 85 different countries that generate significant employment in the city. The reason why large number of students come to Pune are manifold. One of course is because of the large number of universities Pune has and therefore the diversity of programs and courses they offer. The second reason is the climate, because Pune is climatically appreciated by not just Indians, but even foreign students. The third and most important is safety. Pune is a very safe city. Pune is known as a safe city, and the fourth reason is the industry base around Pune. Pune has over 110 MNCs and many other companies. The huge investment is coming in Pune district. IT hub, manufacturing units, startups, adding each day and making it a promising location for all job seekers. It is also the home of hundreds of IT companies like Wipro, Infosys, Volkswagen, TCS, and Accenture. As a city, Pune offers just the right blend to students who not only get an excellent academic exposure, but also a great cultural sensitization due to the diversity of students coming from the various places, both from India and abroad. The programs offered by these universities have also seen a change over the last few decades. Earlier on, the focus was more on humanities, but now one sees that professional programs like engineering, management, medicine, law, etc. have become very popular. Due to this diversity of programs, large number of students are attracted to the city of Pune. Friends, the National Education Policy of 2020 is a major step in revamping higher education in India. It is time that we discarded a system of education that stifled inquiry and critical thinking. It is time to embrace the education system that India offered in Nalanda and Takshashila. It is a time to sensitize our youth to the rich Indian knowledge system that we seem to have ignored or forgotten. How do I visualize university education? A university should be a fertile ground for inquiry, experiential learning, and exposure to a wide variety of subject areas. The power of the mind is enormous. It is unbelievable how the mind can establish synapses between different disciplines and the result be a breeding ground for innovation. We need to offer programs where students can learn music and mathematics, engineering and culinary arts, architecture and social sciences. Language and photography, thus breaking down barriers that we have built around subjects. And I am happy to know that Symbiosis has already laid the foundation for holistic, multidisciplinary education. The university offers programs under 8 faculties, namely law, management, engineering, computer science, architecture and design, medical and health services, humanities and social sciences, media and communication, fully leveraging the opportunity that a multidisciplinary university can offer. The university offers programs that cut across disciplines, also offer liberal education programs. Teachers are the backbone of any university. It is a time that our teachers prove their mettle and be known for their expertise not just in India but across the world. They need to be nurtured and provided with opportunities to develop and transform. I am also very pleased to know that the university has established Teaching Learning Resource Center and invests considerably in faculty development, yet another recommendation of the NEP. With all these initiatives, I am not surprised that Symbiosis International Deemed University is one of the premier universities and has earned a place in all rankings like NIRF, QSCTC. It has been a pioneer in many respects. The Medical College for Girls is a positive step towards empowering women and creating workforce to further the vision of health and wellness for all. Professor Dr. Muzumdar, you have demonstrated that a private university can also have a strong social commitment along with pursuit of excellence in academic offerings. Universities such as yours must be mentors and role models for other universities, private or public. NEP has targeted that India will have a GR of 50% by 2035. We will need to pole vault and not just leapfrog. Only when we have empowered our youth with appropriate education will be able to leverage our demographic dividend. This is an excellent opportunity for India to project and regain its status as Vishwaguru. I congratulate Dr. Muzumdar, who established Symbiosis 51 years ago with the motto of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, and has been pursuing the spirit of the motto through culture and education. I wish this conference a great success. Thank you and Jai Hind.
Thank you very much, sir, for the insightful information.
We have two special keynote addresses, one from Australia and one from India. Today we have amongst us Ms. Katrina Jackson, Chief Coordinator Officer of Universities Australia. Katrina is a highly experienced advocate for higher education and has extensive experience in the policy-making process. Prior to this appointment, she served as a U.S. Deputy Chief Executive, leading the policy team in developing sectoral policy. May I now request Ms. Katrina Jackson to deliver the keynote address.
It's so lovely to have the students introduce you and start everything off. Thank you so much. It's been such a warm welcome here at Symbiosis International. It's been an absolute privilege. I'm not going to try to name every dignitary in the room because I will leave someone out and then I'll be in very serious trouble. May I please acknowledge, however, the esteemed guests, the many esteemed guests in the room, ministers, vice-chancellors, chancellors, faculty, but with the greatest of respect to all of us more mature individuals, most importantly, the students. It was such a pleasure to see you all parade up onto the stage. And such an extraordinary pleasure yesterday to see the very first session with students from the left-hand side of a desk to the right-hand side of a desk. And I will also note one very articulate young man surrounded by, I think it was 5 or 6 very articulate young women. Students, you are what we are here for. We are here to serve you. All the talk in the day past and the days to come, all of the work we do is to serve you. So I salute you. It's great to see you here. We are entering a golden era in the relationship between Australia and India, with great tribute to all the nations here. The relationship is only getting bigger and better and stronger. Our governments are supporting us and promoting this. As your Prime Minister, Prime Minister Modi, said in Sydney last month when he visited us, we are taking it to the next level. And education is at the centre, exactly where it belongs. Universities are critical to Australia and India's economic and strategic interests. They are essential to both our nations achieving our goals of growing and prospering in the interests of students and all of our communities. Helping people and entire nations realise ambition and aspiration, driving change, driving economies and driving progress. I see it every day. Take what's happening here at this university. The new Women Entrepreneurship Research Alliance is up and running. Established earlier this year in partnership with Australia's Deakin University, researchers are working to boost women's participation as entrepreneurs, a skill and a talent that is so strong in India and so great to see it extended to women. This project makes gender equality a business and cultural norm, exactly as it should be. The potential economic and social benefits of this work are enormous. It's long overdue, but it's happening now, led by universities, the student and faculty in them. There's no shortage of examples like this between India and Australia. We have a proud history of educating each other through our work, of conducting life-changing research together. Education and research are, of course, at the heart of our continuing relationship as nations. Importantly, the focus right now is on what we can do more and what we can do more together. How education can take, as your Prime Minister so eloquently said, our relationship to the next level. And we're not without foundation. Look back 70 years to the start of the Colombo Plan in Australia, when Chelapilla Vinaka Rao, excuse me if I haven't done that pronunciation correctly, you've all pronounced my name so beautifully, that's the best I can do. The Indian botanist came to study in Australia. He completed a PhD at the University of Tasmania in 1957. He returned home to lead the Department of Botany at Andrew University. His work remains widely recognised today. The Colombo Plan continues to facilitate the movement of students throughout our region. Strengthening social and economic development in the Indo-Pacific, education provides the bridge between nations. This year, the new Colombo Plan will support 100 Australian students to study here in India. 100 seems a very, very small number in India, but for a country like Australia, with a tiny population compared to yours, 100 is not a bad start. On projects spanning engineering, health, IT, natural and physical sciences. All areas absolutely fundamental to both countries' development, socially, technologically and economically. This reinforces the role universities play in driving success and driving prosperity, in educating the skilled professionals that both India and Australia and all the nations represented here are increasingly reliant on, in breaking down barriers and sharing knowledge across borders, and in preparing our region for the very significant strategic shifts we are all seeing. And using every piece of brain power we have in this room and all of our universities to make us able to meet those challenges and seize those opportunities. So why is there such great emphasis on growing Australia and India's relationship, and why right now? Well, the answer lies in India's extraordinary growth and the complementary nature of Australia's economy and India's economy and society. You're now the most populous nation in the world, not something I need to tell you. 1.4 billion people now, rising to 1.7 in 2060. And your economic growth is on a similar trajectory. India is a very bright spot in the global economy, now the 5th largest in the world. A growing India will need many of Australia's goods and services. Education is chief among them. In fact, education has been described as the most promising sector for Australia in India. This is mutually beneficial. We know you have a sweeping new education plan full of bold, nation-changing ambition, aiming to educate, every time I say this, I can't quite believe it's true, aiming to educate 500 million students by 2035. That's 500 million in just 12 years. Only a country like India with as much ambition and as much boldness could possibly aim to do that. It's clear there is a huge and growing demand for high-quality education. You can see it all around you here in Pune and across India. India's universities can't meet this demand alone. As a world-class education provider, Australia is ready to help and is doing so as we speak. Indian Education Minister Pradhan's visit to Australia last year clearly reinforced India's desire for collaboration. His visit was a pivotal point in the further strengthening of our relationship, and it was a real privilege to host him at a range of our universities. The first of many visits back and forth between our nations at the highest levels, ministers, CEOs, university leaders, and we reached a peak with our Prime Ministers coming together here in India in March and Australia in May. I had the privilege of speaking directly with Prime Minister Modi in Sydney, an experience I will actually never forget throughout the rest of my life during that visit, and was so pleased to hear his strong emphasis on education as a fundamental economic and social connector between Australia and India. Our government's also established the Centre for Australia-India Relations to promote and coordinate enhanced cooperation and exchange between our two nations. I am very excited to be on the Centre's advisory board and know we will do great work together. This is yet another example of a deepening relationship with education right at its core. We also have a new High Commissioner to India, Philip Green, to drive all this work forward, and I thank very much Barry O'Farrell, our outgoing High Commissioner, for all the work that he's achieved in his role. Australia is well placed to partner with India in the great endeavour of higher education, to build what we're already doing to capitalise on this golden era. Our contribution, the Australian contribution, will take three broad forms. We'll educate Indian students in India, here in India. We'll educate them in Australia, as we always have, and we'll work more closely on research. Our universities are beginning to make tangible investments here already. Deakin University has become the first in the world to open a campus in your country, announced by our Prime Minister Anthony Albanese when he was here earlier this year. This is an extraordinary achievement. The University of Wollongong has since announced it will do the same. The University of Melbourne has struck partnerships with Indian universities to offer students the opportunity to study dual science degrees. And the launch of that particular program, it was such a pleasure to see dozens and dozens of young women who were the students taking part in that degree. It was just a joyous occasion. RMIT, the Royal Melbourne Institute of Technology University, will also offer a dual engineering degree and PhDs. This is another significant milestone for us. This means Indian students will be able to complete their studies at home and abroad. Many more of our institutions are crafting new relationships or building on established ones. This is what is needed for Australia to help India meet its educational goals, your educational goals. More Australian institutions offering more degrees right across India, offering the benefits of an Australian world-class university education here in India. We'll also continue to welcome your students on our shores. The opportunity for Indian students to work and study in Australia will never not be there. In the last 20 years, I've educated 1.5 million Indian students. Right now, there are more than 90,000 Indian students on Australian soil. That's more than before the COVID-19 pandemic, and we're very pleased to see those numbers. The scale of interest is unprecedented, and we expect it will keep growing. Increased research collaboration is also absolutely critical. We already have 450 formal partnerships with Indian institutions and individuals. Through these, our researchers are driving breakthroughs that propel both our nations forward, shaping how we respond to the enormous seismic shifts in our region, working out better ways of combating climate change and managing the all-important energy transition, and maintaining the all-important health of all of our peoples. These are all challenges we can rise to using education and research. Australian universities are committed to this task. I know India's universities are too, and it's terrific to see so many represented here. Not far from here, scientists are working to preserve India's status as a dairy powerhouse in the face of climate change. This is a monumental task, the kind of task a university education prepares you to tackle, and that's for all you students. You're doing all the work, we're just talking about it. Our governments have recently agreed new rules around mutual recognition of degrees, smoothing the path for students ultimately working in India and Australia. These rules will be particularly important for India as your population expands. And again, this is one of those numbers that I can't quite believe every time I say it, but every month I'm reliably informed by you, 1 million Indians turn 18. 1 million every month, all 18-year-olds. A growing population needs new infrastructure, new roads, new homes, new dams, new schools, new hospitals, just like the terrific one just down the hill here, which I was privileged to see yesterday. These projects can't be operated or built without university-educated workers. You're getting the message here. University education is absolutely fundamental to pretty much all we do and progress for all the nations represented in this room. This is particularly important, all this work is particularly important in a fast-changing strategic environment. All of our nations are stronger for close person-to-person ties facilitated by students studying in countries other than their own, all of our nations. Education is far more than textbooks and lectures, although they're very important. It helps us make friends and forges enduring relationships that build cultural understanding. It turns students from all nations into truly global citizens. When your students come home, they bring a strong understanding of Australia. Like Dr. Dinesh, I'm going to get this right, Dr. Dinesh Venkatachalam, you'll tell me later how badly I did that, who studied physics at the Australian National University. He's since returned back to India to run a water purification company. The same can be said for so many Australians and Indians who choose to live and work in India after they study. This is being made possible for more Australians as more Australian companies expand into India. Australian-owned software companies, online graphic design platforms, and digital health companies. These are just some of the Australian businesses and who are a growing presence here. They're all keen to be part of India's story and to help you achieve your goals, to play a small or big part in this golden era. They can't succeed, of course, without skilled workers educated in universities, either here, in Australia or elsewhere, which is why we must continue to work together to educate our populations. Our governments are urging us to do this. They want us to work more closely for mutual benefit. They give us, to give as many people as possible the life-changing opportunity of a university education. Australians will continue to do this by expanding our university presence in India, by welcoming your students to our shores, and by investing in the world-class research our scholars perform together. Thank you very much to your leader, your Prime Minister, Prime Minister Modi, and to Minister Pradhan, and for ministers present here today for putting education at the centre of the Australia-India relationship. We can feel your energy and enthusiasm for it. This energy and enthusiasm is echoed by our Prime Minister, Anthony Albanese, and our Minister for Education, Jason Clare, and by all Australian universities. When harnessed, this is a very powerful force. Education sits at the centre of all we are doing together for our economies and communities. It's a privilege to be a part of this flourishing relationship. Let's roll up our sleeves and make the most of this golden era together. Thank you.
Thank you, Ma'am, for the insightful address.
Shri Harsh Vardhan Shringla Sir is the Chief Coordinator for India's G20 presidency in 2023. He has previously served as the Foreign Secretary of India and India's Ambassador to the United States, High Commissioner to Bangladesh, and Ambassador to Thailand. On January 29, 2020, Sir assumed the charge of Foreign Secretary of India as the 33rd Foreign Secretary. Sir has written on a number of topics such as international economy, climate change, preventive diplomacy, and India-US bilateral relations.
We now call upon the stage respected Sir Harsh Vardhan Shringla Sir, the Chief Coordinator for India's G20 presidency, to address the gathering.
Honorable Minister for Higher and Technical Education, Government of Maharashtra, Shri Chandrakant Dada Patil, Professor Dr. S.P. Majumdar, Founder and President, Symbiosis, and Chancellor, Symbiosis International University, Dr. Vidya Yerevdekar, Pro-Chancellor, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary General of the Association of Indian Universities, Ms. Catriona Jackson, Chief Executive Officer, Universities Australia, excuse me, Dr. Rajni Gupta, Vice Chancellor of the Symbiosis International University, heads of educational institutions from India and across the world, Vice Chancellors, senior academics, Namaskar and good afternoon. Let me start by thanking the Symbiosis University and the Association of Indian Universities for inviting me to speak at this Uni20 conference for universities, university leaders of G20 countries. It is indeed an honor to return to this pristine campus. As I begin my address on how India's G20 presidency has and will impact on education, I must take a moment to appreciate Symbiosis University's contribution to the field of education. Symbiosis is a university that enjoys a strong international reputation. It provides globally valued standard of education at the undergraduate to doctoral levels. With 6 campuses spread across the city, Symbiosis University, as a center of excellence, has played a significant role in transforming Pune into an educational hub of the 21st century, something that the Honorable Minister also referred to just a moment earlier. As we draw closer to 2030, it is imperative that we work together to achieve the 17 Sustainable Development Goals that were drafted in 2015, initiated in 2015. In this context, the role of universities as a marketplace of ideas, where open, transparent discourse is encouraged, finds even more relevance today. Friends, earlier this morning, I addressed the inaugural session of the 4th Education Working Group meeting of the G20. The theme of the meeting was ensuring foundation literacy and numeracy, especially in the context of blended learning. You may notice that the theme echoes the aspirations of universal literacy and numeracy in the UN 2030 agenda. Through the Education Working Group, India's G20 presidency aims to develop a roadmap for enhancing collaborative knowledge creation and research. With India's vision for global development, shaped by the ethos of Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam, we understand that inclusive and equitable quality education cannot be achieved in isolation. That is why India's G20 presidency is determined to make the most of and encourage a barter of ideas. We will learn from the insights of other nations, our partners in the G20, while inspiring them with our own best practices. India's National Education Policy 2020 has brought in systemic transformations that nurture the holistic development of learners. The policy focuses on building a future-ready workforce by providing a well-rounded education. It prioritizes skills like critical thinking, problem-solving, collaboration, and innovation. This progressive policy has transformed the education landscape of the country and has democratized access to knowledge. Now a spirit of openness and collaboration is encouraged among stakeholders who work together to create open educational resources and establish common standards. This adds to the global pursuit of quality education for all. Friends, democratizing the G20 and making it people-centric has been at the heart of India's G20 presidency. And sure enough, it is the reason for its resounding popularity across our country. Already at our halfway mark of the presidency, the G20 in India has become a brand, a symbol of national pride. We have curated a consultative, collaborative, and decisive presidency. The University Connect project, with its lecture series, Model G20, and other interactive activities, have enabled students to engage in the G20 process. And I'm happy to say that many of these initiatives have been undertaken in the Symbiosis University itself, and I was fortunate to be a part of one of these very major activities that focused on informing the students and other stakeholders on India's G20 presidency and the G20 process. An endeavor to make the G20 more accessible can be seen in the Jan Bhagidari events organized this month in the run-up to the 4th Education Working Group meeting in Pune. And I have to say that as we organize this meeting, and as the minister has pointed out, Pune is a hub of education. 15 of the 42 universities in the state of Maharashtra are based in Pune. And of course, the Maharashtra government and the Pune municipality have really gone out of the way, gone the extra mile to ensure that our G20 meetings in the state of Maharashtra and in the city of Pune have been highly successful and will continue to be in the next month or two when we have even more meetings in the city. The Ministry of Education, the Central Union Ministry of Education, in partnership with all states and union territories of India, held Jan Bhagidari, which is basically people-centric events throughout the country, to create awareness of the G20 and foundational literacy and numeracy. A total participation of more than 23 million, including 16 million students, 2.5 million teachers, and 5 million members of the community, was recorded in just 12 days. This just goes to show that India is a democracy that celebrates collaborative development. We have ensured that our presidency is an inclusive one that celebrates diversity. In this regard, we have taken G20 away from the capital city of Delhi to all states and union territories of our country. Till date, we have conducted 152 meetings. The 152nd meeting was inaugurated this morning in Pune, and this has been across 51 different cities in our country. And the meetings in Pune have been in the areas of infrastructure, digital economy, and education. Friends, we have made huge strides in the process of the G20 under our presidency, at the first Education Working Group meeting, discussions revolved around the role of digital technology in education. Following this, the second meeting was focused on how member states could strengthen research and promote innovation through collaborations and partnerships. At the third Education Working Group meeting, delegates addressed the issue of building capacities to promote lifelong learning in the context of the future of work. All of these priority areas will help provide a valuable reference framework to develop national policies tailored to the needs of developing countries. I did mention that the fourth working group was based on foundation literacy and numeracy. Friends, all of our futures are interlinked as encompassed by the common theme of the G20 and Symbiosis International University, Vasudhaiva Kutumbakam. We need to come together to deliver for our future and work towards global good. While ideologies and policies may divide us, at the end of the day, we believe that we are one family, and we are part of one earth, one family, and one future. I would like to extend my gratitude again to Symbiosis University and the Association of Indian Universities for inviting me. On my last visit to Symbiosis University earlier this year, I spoke on the subject of India's foreign policy and the G20 on what was the Festival of Thinkers lecture series. This time I speak at the important Uni20 forum that has brought together very senior academics and education leaders from the G20 member countries and across the globe. I appreciate Symbiosis University's efforts to prioritize, as I mentioned earlier, the G20 in all of their efforts and initiatives and academic engagements in order to decipher more and more information to youngsters and students. And I must say, in this context, we have been in touch with Dr. Vidya and her entire team, not just now, but well before our presidency began. So their interest in the G20 has actually predated the G20 presidency itself, and I think that planning is very much in evidence today as we host this very significant event. I particularly congratulate the institution for coinciding the third G20 Education Ministers meeting in Pune with the Uni20 and the path for facilitating and strengthening education priorities and discussed in both forums. And I'm sure there is a certain synergy that will be established between your conference and the G20 meeting that is taking place. Let me once again commend Symbiosis University and the Association of Indian Universities for taking this initiatives such as the Uni20 and the Festival of Thinkers lecture series. I'm confident that with this meeting, the results would be a valuable experience which will lead to future collaborations and knowledge-sharing endeavors. I thank you for your attention. Namaskar.
Thank you very much, sir, for the overwhelming address.
As preparations for the Uni20 conference, we knew we had to make the event more inclusive in terms of student participation. University graduates Now I would like to call up on this stage Rajni Gupta Madam, Vice Chancellor of Symbiosis International University, to propose the vote of thanks.
Good afternoon. Respected Dr. S.B. Muzumdar, the Chancellor of the Symbiosis International University and the founder of the Symbiosis, Shri Chandrakant Dada Patil, the Honorable Minister for Higher and Technical Education, Government of Maharashtra, Shri Harshvardhan Singla ji, the Chief Coordinator for India's G20 Presidency, Dr. Pankaj Mittal, Secretary AIU, Ms. Catriona Jackson, Chief Executive Officer, Universities Australia, Dr. Vidya Erodekar, the Pro-Chancellor of the Symbiosis International University, Chancellors, Chairmen, Vice-Chancellors from India and overseas, academic leaders, government officials, faculty, directors, and my dear international and Indian students. I take the pleasure of proposing the vote of thanks at this August gathering. Sir, I'm very delighted to tell you that we have participants from 46 countries, including 18 of the G20 countries. And I'm really delighted that we have had such a wonderful response to this Uni20 conference. I think the conference is only as successful as the participants who come, and there are deliberations across the 3 days. Yesterday, we had a wonderful session with young students and an industry interaction. Today, we've had a session in the morning, and of course, we will continue with the rest of the sessions today and tomorrow. So, Dr. Mittal, my thanks to you especially for the support from AIU and for presenting very briefly the critical features of the Indian education system and also highlighting the activities of AIU. Thank you so much for your support. We truly value it. Dr. Majumdar, sir, while referring to Swami Vivekananda, you spoke about the growing importance of the East in the global economy. You mentioned that India has great engineers and doctors, but you very rightly said that the focus should be on the ethical dimensions. Morality and values should be the backbone of all scientific progress, and this is especially relevant with the rise of AI. You also said that while industry and other organizations will benefit with the progress of technology, it is only education which will be able to embed the deep-rooted values that we must give to the young generation. Thank you, sir, for your continued inspiration to all of us at Symbiosis. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Chandrakant Dada Patil, thank you for your presence. You spoke about the changes in education due to the disruptions in the global economy and the growing challenges. You also mentioned that the features that attract students from all across India and the world, how Pune attracts a large number of these students. You focused on encouraging inquiry and critical thinking and fostering liberal education. Professor Catriona Jackson, thank you so much. We deeply appreciate your presence over here. You mentioned the growing India-Australia relations and the initiatives and the collaborations for research and identifying new areas that are mutually beneficial for both the nations. We are deeply grateful to you and for the presence of all the Australian delegates who are here today. Shri Harshvardhan Shringla-ji, thank you so much. I know you had a very, very tight schedule and a busy schedule. Thank you for making the time to be here today. You emphasized the role of education being achieved through collaborations with the G20 nations. And the decision to democratize G20, we've seen the impact of it all across the country. No matter which city we go to, we realize that there is a huge impact of the G20 celebrations across. And therefore, the decision to democratize G20 has created a huge sense of participation. And the success of the Jan Bhagidari actually showcases this inclusion. I cannot but end by saying that thank you, dear international students, for your very valuable presence here. The flag ceremony is always appreciated. You added a lot of color and joy to this event. Thank you so much. Let me end by thanking each and every one of you present here today for your presence and for all the deliberations that we will have together here today. Thank you.